Chosen one, listen closely. This message isn't for the crowd. It isn't for those who fit in, who follow the rules of this world and feel at home in it. This is for you, the one who's always felt like a stranger, even in familiar places. The one who questions why things never quite worked out the way they were supposed to. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. This is a divine interruption, a message from beyond the veil, and it has found you at the perfect time. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt exhausted just thinking about going after another job? Not because you're lazy, but because every part of you knows it's not where you belong. Do you feel like your soul is resisting the idea of settling into something that dims your light? Have you been hearing a deeper voice inside, one that keeps whispering, there is something else you're meant to do? If so, you are not lost. You are not broken. You are not behind. You're being rerouted by God Himself. Chosen ones don't look for work like the world does. Why? Because they were never sent here to be just workers. They were sent here to be awakeners, to be carriers of divine assignments, to be reminders in human form that this world is not all there is. You've likely noticed by now that no matter how hard you try to follow the so-called normal path, something always breaks down. It doesn't hold. It doesn't click. You're not cursed. You're being set apart. This world has systems that were never made with you in mind. And God's message to you today is simple. Don't go after jobs. Do this instead. Step fully into your divine gift. Step into the call that's been pressing on your spirit since the day you were born. The reason things haven't worked out in the way you expected is because you're meant to live by a different blueprint, heaven's blueprint, one where your purpose creates your provision, where your obedience attracts overflow, where your gift opens the door that no application ever could. This message is not meant to inspire you for a moment. It's meant to awaken you to your true role. You are not here to blend in. You are here to break patterns, to speak light into dark places, to live in such a way that others remember who they are just by being around you. The time of hiding is over. The time of playing small is done. You're being called into spiritual entrepreneurship, prophetic leadership, divine creativity, and healing assignments that no worldly job title could contain. So if your spirit has been stirred while listening, if you feel a confirmation in your chest right now, comment 444 below, so I know this has reached you. And more than that, subscribe to this channel, Rise of the Chosen, tap the bell icon, and share this message with someone else who's been stuck in confusion about their purpose. This is not motivational talk. This is alignment. This is your divine re-entry into the truth you've always known. You were chosen by God, and your gift is not optional. It's your assignment. Welcome to the Rise. Chosen one, you've been trying to force yourself into a system that was never built for you. Every time you've tried to walk the path that others said was secure, responsible, or normal, something in your spirit shut down. You might have blamed yourself. You might have thought you were lazy, inconsistent, or ungrateful. But the truth is deeper than what they told you. You were never made to chase jobs. You were made to walk in divine purpose. From the moment you were born, the world began training you to serve its machine. Go to school, get the degree, apply for work, compete, climb, retire. But you've always felt something was off about that rhythm. While others were motivated by promotions or status, you were asking questions about meaning. While others were content fitting into roles, you were haunted by a calling you couldn't name. That's not dysfunction. That's divine dissonance. That's the spirit inside you rejecting what the world expects from you. Chosen ones don't thrive in jobs that mute their gifts. You may have worked before, maybe you still are, but deep down, you know that's not the final destination. You've always felt there's something more. That sense of more isn't greed or fantasy. It's heaven reminding you of your assignment. It's God showing you that your existence isn't supposed to be defined by a job title, but by the light you carry and release into this world. You see, Jobs were created to organize labor, but your spirit was not sent here to labor in routine. You were sent here to build, awaken, and shift atmospheres. The very structure of traditional jobs can feel like a cage for a chosen one. Sitting at a desk, being micromanaged, working toward goals that have nothing to do with eternity, it drains you. Not because you're entitled, but because your soul knows that your energy is sacred and your time is an offering. And yet, you've probably been judged for it. They might have said you don't try hard enough, or you always quit too soon, but they don't understand. What looks like inconsistency on the outside is often spiritual resistance on the inside. You can't stay where your soul is suffocating. You can't pretend to care about systems that were designed to keep the chosen ones distracted from their real work. Your real work begins where your obedience begins. That's what the world will never tell you, because obedience doesn't always look productive at first. It looks like silence, like rest, like writing something no one sees yet, like starting a project that doesn't bring instant money. But what they call risky, heaven calls alignment. And that's the path you've been called to walk. You weren't created to hustle your way to survival. You were anointed to transform the way others survive. You weren't created to fill positions. You were born to create space for others to find their truth. You weren't created to be used. You were created to lead, to heal, to reveal, to build something that carries God's presence into places the church won't go. When you chase jobs, you end up shrinking your purpose to fit into someone else's agenda. But when you chase obedience, you start expanding your life to carry the full weight of your assignment. That's when things begin to align. That's when provision follows. That's when doors open that resumes can't unlock. So no, you're not lazy, you're not confused, you're not ungrateful. You are a chosen one. And chosen ones don't look for work the way the world does. They walk into assignments that were waiting on their yes. They rise into callings that don't make sense on paper. They follow God's voice over human approval. And they live lives that light fires in others without even trying. That's why you've never been satisfied in jobs. Because satisfaction was never the goal. Transformation was. You were meant to disrupt, to rebuild, to call others out of slumber. So stop trying to fit in where you were never meant to stay. You were born to lead from a place no man can validate. Heaven has already approved you. Now it's time to walk like it. Chosen one, how many times have you been told you're wasting your potential, that you're not doing enough, that you're lazy? You've probably heard it from parents, teachers, even friends, people who love you but don't understand you. But let me speak to your spirit right now. What the world calls laziness is often something far more sacred. It's divine resistance. You weren't created to respond the way others do. That heaviness you feel when you try to do what everyone else does isn't a weakness. It's heaven resisting the world's expectations on your behalf. It's God saying, not here, not this, not for you. While others jump from job to job with ease, something in you tenses up. Your body gets tired. Your soul withdraws. Your energy shuts down. That's not because you lack discipline. It's because you were never meant to build someone else's dream at the cost of your own calling. The world wants you to measure your worth by how busy you are, how productive you look, how much money you bring in. But heaven's measurement is different. It's about obedience, not activity. It's about alignment, not achievement. You could be doing less in the eyes of the world, but accomplishing more in the spirit because you're operating from purpose, not pressure. And that's what most people won't understand. They can't see your spiritual assignment, so they judge your human actions. Laziness is a word they use when they can't comprehend your blueprint. But you're not lazy. You're being retrained. You're in a process. You're being emptied of old programming so you can make room for divine instruction. And sometimes that process looks like stillness, like silence, like stepping away from the noise so you can hear God more clearly. But in a world addicted to hustle, stillness looks like failure. Let me tell you something important. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You are chosen by God. That alone sets you apart. The fact that you can't function like the masses is not your flaw. It's your confirmation. You're not like them because you're not meant to live like them. Your mind is wired to catch divine downloads. Your heart is built to carry sacred burdens. Your life is designed to disrupt norms, not conform to them. So when you feel yourself resisting the grind, pause and ask yourself, is this disobedience or is it divine resistance? More often than not, it's your spirit trying to protect you from misalignment, because the wrong yes can delay the right calling. The wrong opportunity can contaminate your assignment. The wrong job can dim the very light God is trying to grow in you. Chosen ones don't thrive under man-made systems. They move best when they follow divine flow. That flow isn't always fast. It isn't always impressive, but it's always right. You might not have a title right now. You might not have income like others, but you have something they can't fake. You have heaven's hand on your life, and that alone will take you further than any resume or reference ever could. This season you're in might feel confusing. You might wake up some days and wonder what you're doing with your life. But I promise you, if you're surrendering to God's direction, even in the quiet, you are doing holy work. You are being set apart. You are being prepared. The delay is not denial. The resistance is not rejection, it's redirection. You are not meant to move just for the sake of motion. You're meant to move when the Spirit moves you. That's how chosen ones rise, not by chasing success, but by obeying the unseen rhythm of the divine. That rhythm doesn't always make sense, but it always makes purpose. And if you've been feeling the pull to rest, to slow down, to realign, don't fight it. It might just be God preserving you for something much greater. So the next time someone questions your pace or makes you feel like you're falling behind, remember this: you are not lazy. You are being led. Comment 333 if you know this word was for you. Let them talk. Let them assume. While they chase what the world offers, you're being positioned for what heaven has prepared. Stay in divine resistance. Your assignment is too holy to be rushed. Chosen one, God didn't send you here empty-handed. Before you took your first breath, a gift was placed inside of you. Not a random talent, not a hobby. A divine tool crafted by heaven itself. And that gift is not just something you have. It is your assignment. You've been searching for your purpose in positions, in people, in places. But the message from God is clear. Stop looking outward. Start looking inward. Your gift is not something extra. It's the main thing. So many chosen ones live confused because they've been taught to downplay what comes naturally to them. You've probably brushed off your abilities because they felt too easy or too obvious. You've assumed real work must be hard and unpleasant. But the divine doesn't operate through struggle. It flows through grace. That ease you feel when you speak, create, guide, write, heal, build, or lead, that's not coincidence. That's confirmation. That's God saying, this is what I gave you to give to the world. The world taught you to hide it, told you that you had to be realistic, said your gift wasn't enough to sustain you. But God's message overrides all of that. What you carry inside you is not for entertainment or ego, it's for impact. Your gift was meant to wake people up, to heal broken places, to bring clarity where there's confusion, to shine light in places darkened by hopelessness. The enemy knew this too, which is why he attacked your confidence, why you've battled self-doubt, why you've been silenced in rooms where your voice carried weight. But the season of shrinking is over. You are not being called to chase jobs. You are being called to activate your divine gift. Heaven is not hiring employees. It's sending out messengers, healers, prophets, creatives, teachers, builders of spiritual infrastructure. You may not have a business card or a degree that validates it, but if God gave you a gift, that's all the proof you need. That gift is your calling card. Your life's work flows from it. Your provision will be attached to it. Your impact will be birthed through it. And here's the truth most won't tell you. If you don't honor the gift, it becomes a burden. That's why you felt anxious, restless, frustrated. It's not depression. It's misused purpose. The gift is too powerful to stay buried. It demands expression. It aches to be used, not for clout, not for applause, but for kingdom movement. And the longer you avoid it, the louder the resistance becomes. You don't need to figure out every step. You need to start with what's already in your hand. That vision, that voice, that burning idea, that burden for people who are hurting the way you once were. That's the gift trying to get out. It's not a random urge. It's divine prompting. It's heaven nudging you to stop hiding behind responsibilities and excuses and finally walk in what you were born to do. And listen to me closely. Your gift is not too small. It's not too late. You haven't missed it. There's no expiration date on a divine assignment. It doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter what you've lost. Doesn't matter what mistakes you've made. God's message is still the same. Use what I gave you. That's where your power is. That's where your provision is. That's where your peace is. Chosen one, don't underestimate what's been deposited inside of you. You don't have to become someone else to walk in purpose. You only need to become obedient to the original design. You are not here to fit in. You're here to stand out, and your gift is what makes that possible. It's not prideful to walk in your power. It's faithful. It's responsible. It's sacred. So I'm telling you now, your job isn't to find a job. Your job is to find flow, to listen, to trust the divine voice guiding you back to yourself. And from that place, you will move differently, speak differently, live differently. And those who need what you carry will find you. You won't have to beg for opportunities. When you honor the gift, the assignment will reveal itself. Let this message be the moment everything shifts. The moment you stop running from your calling, the moment you recognize that your peace has always been connected to your purpose. And if something in your spirit is leaping right now, comment 666 so I know you're waking up to what's already inside you. You were chosen by God, not to copy others, not to chase titles, but to reveal heaven through the very thing He placed inside your soul. That gift is the assignment. Walk in it. Chosen one, something massive is shifting in the spirit, and if you've been feeling strange lately, that's why. You're not imagining it. You're not broken. You're being activated. And what's being activated in you has nothing to do with chasing survival, and everything to do with building the new. The old economy is collapsing for you. The grind, the hustle, the scarcity mindset, the desperate job searches. Those doors aren't opening because they were never meant to. Because God is launching His chosen ones into a new economy, a spiritual economy based on purpose, presence, and power. This isn't about money the way the world defines it. This is about divine flow, provision that follows obedience, resources that are attracted by alignment, not effort. For so long, you've been taught that if you don't work for someone else, you won't survive. But now you're being shown that your calling isn't tied to a paycheck. It's tied to impact. And where there's impact, there's provision. Where there's alignment, there's access. This new economy is built by chosen ones, by people who no longer fit inside the boxes the world created. This economy doesn't ask you to compromise your soul. It doesn't ask you to pretend you're something you're not. It invites you to bring your full self, your full gift, your full truth. And it pays in peace, power, and prosperity that doesn't require your exhaustion. You're not being lazy by leaving the old system. You're being summoned into a higher one. Look around. Spirit-led entrepreneurs are rising. Prophetic voices are finding platforms. Healing hands are opening practices. Writers are being called to publish words that set captives free. Artists are awakening souls. Mentors, coaches, teachers, seers. People like you are realizing they were never meant to beg for jobs. They were meant to build spaces where heaven can be seen and felt through their gifts. That discomfort you've been feeling with your old work life, it's not a mistake. It's a signal. It's God telling you that what used to work is no longer acceptable. The assignment has changed. And your provision, your peace, your next elevation, it's all connected to what you've been carrying in silence. It's time to stop hiding it. The new economy needs you fully visible, fully activated. This isn't about quitting your job overnight. This is about listening, aligning, beginning, taking steps to offer your gift to the world with intention. It might start small. A few people, a few conversations, a few pieces of content. But what's small in your hands can become supernatural in God's hands. You just need to say yes. The yes is the currency that moves things in the spirit. Once you say yes to the assignment, heaven begins to fund what you're building. You won't need to compete. You won't need to hustle like you used to. In this economy, presence is power. Obedience is strategy. Flow is sustainability. And trust is the investment. Chosen ones are not here to fight for scraps. You are here to distribute spiritual wealth, clarity, peace, healing, awakening. And God is showing you now how to do it in a way that sustains you while transforming others. If you feel like something in you is being stirred, if you know this message is pulling on your spirit, comment 777. So I know you feel it. You're not imagining the shift. You're part of it. The rise of the chosen is not just a phrase. It's a movement. A new spiritual economy is being built, and you are one of its architects. The world may not understand it, but heaven has already approved it. It's time to build. Chosen one, you've been taught to chase money, to run after stability, to measure your value by your income. But let me tell you something that will shift your entire perspective. Divine provision doesn't follow effort, it follows purpose. When you walk in your God-given assignment, provision begins to flow not because you worked harder than everyone else, but because heaven is backing what you were born to do. The world system says, get a job to survive. God says, step into your calling and I will provide. This is not some distant theory. This is a spiritual law. Chosen ones have never thrived chasing checks. It's why you've always felt drained doing what others celebrate. It's why no matter how good the job looked on paper, your soul felt like it was suffocating. Because you were never meant to live off wages. You were meant to live off assignment. You're not like everyone else. And your provision won't come like it does for everyone else. For you, doors don't open just because you apply. They open when you obey. You can send out 100 resumes and get nothing. But say yes to the thing God whispered to you in private. And suddenly, things begin to align. Resources come, people show up, favor appears, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. God funds his assignments, not your fears, not your fallback plans, not the backup options you created when you didn't trust your gift. He funds what he calls. And the reason some things haven't been working is because you've been trying to finance something that heaven never authorized. But the moment you step into what you were truly created for, even if it's scary, even if it looks uncertain, provision will begin to flow. I know what you're thinking. But how will I live? What about bills? What about responsibilities? And those are valid questions. But here's the divine truth. When you prioritize purpose, God prioritizes your needs. He is not a careless father. He doesn't call you into something and then leave you to figure it out alone. If you're walking in what he called you to, you are entitled to supernatural provision, period. You might not see all of it at once. Sometimes God provides in portions to build your trust. Sometimes he lets the vision stretch you so that your faith muscles grow. But lack is not your destiny. Scarcity is not your inheritance. You are not a beggar. You are a chosen vessel. And as long as you are pouring out what he put inside of you, he will keep pouring into you everything you need. Many of you have been stuck in survival mode, doing whatever you can just to get by. But purpose doesn't just get you by. Purpose puts you in overflow. Maybe not overnight, but eventually. Because purpose produces something that jobs never will. Divine momentum. When you start living from that place, the way you see life changes. You no longer wait for opportunities. You create from your spirit, and opportunities begin to find you. Let's be real, there's a cost to purpose. You might lose comfort, you might be misunderstood, you might walk away from what looks secure. But in return, you gain provision that never runs out, because it's not coming from man, it's coming from God. You begin to live off of insight, favor, peace, clarity, and timely doors that no effort could have opened. This is why the world won't understand your path. They won't get why you left the job, why you turned down the offer, why you're choosing to build something from your spirit instead of chasing what everyone else is chasing. But you don't need their approval when you have heaven's backing. Let them mock. Let them question. You're not being irresponsible. You're being led. Every time you honor the calling, provision shows up. Sometimes it looks like a person sent to help. Sometimes it's an unexpected financial breakthrough. Sometimes it's the strength to keep going when everything around you looks impossible. But it always comes. Why? Because you said yes, and that yes unlocked resources that were waiting for your obedience. So stop trying to figure everything out before you move. Start moving and let God meet you on the way. Walk toward your purpose like it's already funded, because in the spirit it is. You won't lack when you're aligned. You won't crumble when you're in calling. You were chosen not to just survive, but to be a walking example of what divine provision looks like in human form. Chosen one, if this message has spoken directly to your spirit, you already know what to do. Comment 999 below. Speak it into the atmosphere. Provision will follow my purpose. Say it aloud. Believe it and walk like it's already done. Because if you walk in purpose, it already is. Chosen one. What if I told you that the next step in your journey isn't about learning something new? It's about unlearning what you were never supposed to believe in the first place? The path to your divine assignment doesn't begin with a course, a degree, or a job. It begins with releasing the lies you were taught by a world that was never designed for your kind. Before heaven can build through you, it must first tear down everything false that's been built in you. You've been conditioned since childhood to think in terms of control, competition, and survival. That your worth comes from how hard you grind. That your identity is tied to a job title. That stability is more valuable than vision. But none of those ideas came from God. They came from a system that needs you to be useful, but not powerful. Efficient, but not awakened. Busy, but not aligned. And now, heaven is confronting all of it. That tension you feel, that restlessness that won't go away no matter how much you try to ignore it. That's the spiritual friction between the world's script and heaven's blueprint. One tells you to get in line, the other tells you to rise and lead. One says play it safe, the other says walk by faith. One keeps you bound by fear, the other calls you to build by vision, and you can't carry both. To receive the fullness of heaven's instruction, you must let go of the world's voice. Unlearning is a painful process. It feels like confusion at first, because everything that was once familiar begins to collapse. But this collapse is holy, it's sacred, it's necessary, because God will never pour fresh purpose into a mind still married to old patterns. He's not just changing your circumstances. He's transforming how you see, how you think, how you hear, and how you decide. You've been taught to ask, will this make money? God is teaching you to ask, is this in alignment? You've been taught to follow what's popular. God is teaching you to follow what's prophetic. You've been told to seek comfort. God is calling you to step into divine discomfort, where real growth lives, and each step of obedience will feel strange at first, because it doesn't resemble anything you were raised to believe. But that's the sign you're on the right track. There will be days when you feel like you're losing your mind. Days when you question everything. That's normal. You are being rewired, recalibrated, stripped of the world's logic so you can operate by spiritual intelligence. And this spiritual intelligence will have you making moves that make no sense to others, but perfect sense to heaven. You'll walk away from offers that look good but don't feel right. You'll say no to jobs that promise stability but rob your spirit. You'll start to trust your peace more than your paycheck. And little by little, the blueprint will start revealing itself. Not all at once, but step by step. God doesn't give you the full picture up front. He gives you instructions, nudges, confirmations, and as you obey, the path becomes clearer. It's not that the plan wasn't there, it's that your old programming was blocking your vision. Now, as you unlearn the world's noise, you're finally able to hear God's whisper. You'll start noticing synchronicities, divine timing, conversations that confirm what you've been sensing, opportunities that don't make sense, but feel perfectly right. These aren't coincidences, they're the unfolding of heaven's strategy, because once you unlearn fear, performance, and striving, you begin to live from trust, presence, and flow. That's when you become dangerous. That's when you become unstoppable. That's when the enemy loses his grip. The world will still try to pull you back. It will call you irresponsible, unrealistic, even rebellious. But you must remember, you weren't chosen to continue cycles. You were chosen to break them. And that means walking paths that others are too afraid to even imagine. It means building what's never been built, saying what's never been said, trusting a vision no one else can see. So if things feel like they're falling apart, don't panic. You are not being destroyed. You are being delivered from programming that never belonged to you, from systems that kept you small, from beliefs that kept you bound. And every part of this breaking is preparing you to hold the new, the higher, the holy. Chosen one, you are not going backwards. You're being reset. Let the world call it foolish. Let heaven call it preparation. You must unlearn what the world gave you to finally receive the blueprint God designed specifically for you. And once you do, you won't just survive. You'll step into a reality where you don't chase anything. You attract everything you need because you are exactly where God called you to be. Chosen one, the world has programmed you to panic when you're not employed. They told you to get busy, send out applications, settle for something, anything, just to avoid looking like you're doing nothing. But heaven's voice is different. God isn't asking you to chase jobs. He's asking you to step into your assignment. And to do that, you need to stop hustling like everyone else and start building like the one you were called to be. Instead of job hunting, start gift working. What does that mean? It means waking up and asking, what can I create today that aligns with my purpose? How can I show up with intention and offer what's already inside me? Who can I serve, speak to, encourage, or guide? You're not unemployed. You're being redirected. Not towards a company, but toward your calling. This is the moment to begin. Not when you feel ready. Not when you have the perfect plan. Now. Your spirit already knows what it's time to start. Maybe it's a YouTube channel. Maybe it's writing, creating, mentoring, healing, speaking, designing, building, or teaching. Whatever it is, you've been hearing whispers about it for a long time. The delay isn't because it's not real. It's because you've been taught to fear your own gift. But God didn't give you that gift to sit on a shelf while you beg the world for opportunities. That gift is the opportunity. And when you offer it consistently, without shame, heaven will begin to position you in places you could never have reached through applications alone. People will find you. Provision will follow you. Platforms will open. Not because you chased them, but because you obeyed. Obedience is your strategy. If God is telling you to record a message, record it. If He's nudging you to offer sessions, start with what you know. If you're meant to launch something, take the first small step. You don't need to have a business plan, you need to move. Because spiritual doors don't respond to resumes, they respond to obedience. And every act of obedience creates a ripple. That ripple opens the next door. This is the season to begin. Begin without knowing the end. Begin while your voice still shakes. Begin while you're learning. Begin even when you're afraid. You are not behind. You are in position. You're not late. You're finally listening. The divine timeline is never rushed, but it's always exact. And if this word is reaching you right now, that means it's time. Instead of job hunting, build the altar. An altar is the space where your gift meets God's breath. And whatever you do on that altar, write, speak, teach, create, heal, it will carry power. Because you didn't do it for attention. You did it in obedience. That kind of obedience attracts things the world can't explain. Clients, collaborations, contracts, ideas, clarity, miracles. Don't wait to be hired to be useful. You're already appointed. Don't wait for a boss to say yes when God already said go. Begin with what you know. Teach what you've lived. Serve from your scars. Share what healed you. You don't need perfection, you need movement. The spiritual economy doesn't pay based on effort. It releases based on faithful obedience. So while the world hunts jobs, you build vision. While they submit resumes, you submit your will. While they chase survival, you create from a place of spiritual overflow. That's how chosen ones rise. And if your spirit is stirring right now, then this is your moment. You don't need permission to start. You need to start to access what's been waiting on you. Chosen one, the real work was never out there. It was always inside you. Now go activate it. Chosen one, in this season of shift and realignment, the most important voice you can hear is not the world's, it's God's. But let's be honest, with everything pulling at your attention, hearing from God can sometimes feel confusing or even silent. You wonder, is that my thought, or is that Him? You second guess what you felt in your spirit. But I need you to understand something. God is still speaking. The question is, are you still enough to listen? You were chosen not just to move, but to move with precision. That means you can't afford to guess your way through this season. You need divine instruction, specific direction, and you will only get that by quieting the noise that's been flooding your mind. The distractions, the comparisons, the anxiety about what's next, they create static. And static drowns out divine sound. You don't need more advice. You need more silence. You don't need louder voices. You need stillness. God is not hiding from you. He's speaking through your thoughts, your instincts, your dreams, your atmosphere. But the more chaos you allow in, the harder it is to discern Him. In this season, chosen ones must become intentional about tuning their frequency. Just like a radio dial, if you're slightly off, you'll hear distortion. But when you find the right alignment, the signal becomes clear. That's how God speaks, through clarity birthed in consistency. Start with solitude, not isolation driven by pain, but sacred solitude where you invite God into the quiet. Set a time, even if it's just 10 minutes, to sit with no phone, no music, no distractions, just you and Him. This is where whispers become direction. This is where questions turn into revelation. God doesn't always yell. Most of the time He whispers. But you'll only hear that whisper when you stop yelling over your own life with constant movement. Next, lean into Scripture, not as a religious checklist, but as a living, breathing conversation. Sometimes the answer you're asking for has already been written. But if you never open the Word, you miss it. God will confirm what He's saying through verses that suddenly leap off the page. And when that happens, write it down. Track His voice. This trains your spirit to recognize the patterns of how He speaks to you. Pay attention to your peace. One of the most overlooked ways God speaks is through spiritual atmosphere. If something disturbs your peace, that's not just discomfort, it might be divine resistance. And if something brings you unexplainable peace, even in uncertainty, that's often God saying, move forward. Peace doesn't always mean comfort. Sometimes it means clarity in the middle of chaos. Also, don't underestimate the power of dreams and repeated signs. When God is emphasizing something, you'll start seeing it everywhere. The same word, the same theme, the same prompting. You might hear it in a conversation, see it in a post, feel it in your gut. That's not coincidence. That's God confirming what He's trying to get you to acknowledge. And yes, God will also use people, but only when you're discerning. Not every voice is meant to guide you. Some are sent to distract you. That's why your discernment must be sharp. Chosen ones don't follow crowds. They follow the whisper, the instruction, the unshakable nudge that won't leave them alone until they respond. In this season, your clarity is your power. Your ability to hear and obey will determine how quickly and accurately you move. God's not going to compete with your distractions. He's going to wait for your surrender. He's going to wait for your decision to tune out the world and tune into Him. And when you do, the clarity will come. Not always instantly, but always perfectly timed. If this message has stirred something deep inside, it's because your spirit already knows what your mind is just beginning to understand. You've been hearing God all along. Now it's time to listen with intention. Let everything else fade. Let every voice be silenced until His becomes the loudest in your life. That's how chosen ones rise. Not by noise, but by clarity. Not by rushing, but by receiving. This is your moment. Don't miss it. Chosen one, if no one has ever said this to you, let me say it now with the full weight of truth and divine clarity. You are not lazy. You are being led. That heaviness you've been carrying, that battle in your mind, that feeling of being stuck while everyone else seems to be moving. It's not because you've failed. It's because you've been chosen to move differently. God isn't rushing you. He's preparing you. You were never created to follow the fast lane of this world. You were created to walk the narrow path of alignment. And yes, that path can feel slow. It can look unproductive on the surface. But what heaven is doing in you is far deeper than what people can see. You're not behind. You're being refined. And the refining season often looks like silence, stillness, confusion, and even inactivity to those who don't understand divine timing. When you stop trying to explain your process to people who don't carry your assignment, you'll find peace. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you've slowed down. You don't need validation for why you've turned inward. God is rebuilding you from the inside out. That's why nothing feels the same anymore. That's why you can't go back to how you used to operate. Your spirit has outgrown the systems that once sustained you. You're not stuck. You're just too awakened to go back to sleep. The world rewards hustle and productivity, but heaven rewards obedience. And obedience isn't always loud. It isn't always visible. Sometimes it looks like leaving a job, turning down an opportunity, saying no when it would have been easier to say yes, resting when your mind tells you to panic, waiting when everything in you wants to force the next move. That's not laziness. That's spiritual maturity. That's what it means to be led by the Spirit and not by survival mode. You've felt the tension of being pulled in two directions, between doing what's expected and doing what's right for your soul. That tension is proof that you are no longer operating from your flesh. You're moving from a deeper place now. And with that depth comes a greater demand for discernment. You can't afford to move fast just to please people. You must move accurately to please God. And let me remind you, when God leads you, He provides. Maybe not all at once, maybe not in the way you imagined, but always on time, always enough. You're not falling behind financially, emotionally, or spiritually. You're being positioned in a way that makes space for sustainable provision, not just temporary relief. What you build from obedience will last longer than anything you forced out of fear. So, let go of the shame, the guilt, the pressure, the comparing. Let go of trying to prove that you're working hard enough. Heaven already knows your heart. And God never asked you to impress the world. He asked you to follow His voice. And if that voice says rest, then rest. If it says wait, then wait. If it says move in a direction no one else understands, trust it anyway. You are not here to follow trends. You're here to set divine patterns. You are not meant to look productive to the world while starving your soul. Your stillness is not wasted time. It's the soil where clarity grows. It's the space where power is developed. And when the time comes to move, you'll move with force, with certainty, with spiritual velocity. But until then, keep listening, keep aligning, keep trusting. Chosen one, this isn't just a pause. It's a setup, a sacred one. You are being led by unseen hands, guided by divine intelligence. You are being formed into someone who doesn't just work for a living, but lives for a purpose. And if this word confirms what you've been feeling in the quiet, then know, you're not lost. You're just being led back home to who you really are. Walk in that truth, rest in it, and rise when the Spirit says rise. Your time is not running out. Your season is simply unfolding. Trust the process. God is not late, and neither are you.